welcome to Arsenal Nation Live, where tonight we return to action under lights at the Emirates as we host Brighton. And I'm delighted to say we have two fantastic guests, as always, sports broadcaster Anne-Marie Batson and Arsenal legend David Hillier. Guys, good to have you back in the studio. Loads to talk about, as always. The team news is in, so let's take a look at what you guys at home have been saying about it. The first bunch of tweets to get through then. A little bit of chat on formation, although, Anthony, you have got the kick-off time wrong. There is still a little bit longer than 15 minutes to go, I'm afraid. I'm confident we'll get forward and attack well, but we will get caught on the counter-attack again, will we? I don't know. I have faith that Freddie addressed the transition game. Come on, Arsenal. Let's take a look at the next tweet then. This is from Sam. Thank you very much. Big one for Arsenal tonight. Not since 1977 have they gone 9 matches without a win. The good news for them is that Brighton have lost 15 of 16 away Premier League matches against the Big Six. The bad news is that their one draw was against AFC. And a final one here then. Assuming this is a 4-4-2 diamond, wonder whether it will be Torreira or Xhaka at the base. Good to see Bellerin back. At least we'll get nice width from the fullbacks in our attacks. So a few kind of questions on formation there. I want to come to our two guests. David, we'll start with you. How do you think we'll line up to take on Brighton this evening?
I think we'll go back four. I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. I mean, it lends itself to that perfectly. And I don't think Freddie's had loads of time to tinker with formations and stuff like that. He's going to put people in places who have been doing decent jobs lately. Bellerin coming back, I think, will definitely give us a little bit more pace and attack down that side. Not to take anything away from Callum, but I think, you know, he's just got more pace. So they'll be a little bit more frightened of that, I think, Brighton. However, it looks like they'll go 5 at the back. So whether they'll try and pin him back, be interesting. Ober and Laka again. Always like to see that. You know, kind of hoping Pepe will get an introduction at some point tonight, because I've felt for him on the bench lately. He's been an asset I don't think we've used properly. But I think, you know, I think it's a squad that will take 3 points. Brighton will struggle here, but we've still got a long way to go.
Anne-Marie, what do you make of the formation this evening?
It's an interesting one, and I agree with what Dave says, that, you know, Ljungberg hasn't had that time to work out what his perfect formation is. So I think he would be trying a couple of things, but that also rises to the concern about, we need the 3 points. Is this going to work? And I think I agree with you. He'll probably go with the 4. What was it? The 4-2.
Yeah, he'll go 4-2. I think he'll have Xhaka with Torreira just sitting properly.
Let's see if that works, because that's what we've been crying out for the last.
And he did. And in fairness, in the last game, I felt that the midfield, the only real change I could see, apart from a little bit, obviously, it was a little bit fresher. You know, they weren't so burdened. Was the fact that they held their positions a lot more. The players, Joe Willock stayed in that number 10 area a lot of the time, rather than all the interchanging and fluid. And I think that's the way to start as a manager coming in. Just get people performing properly in their position solidly. Do you know what I mean? And then maybe introduce a bit more movement as you start to influence the squad. So hopefully we might have a little bit more of that today, but I think it'll be a nice solid formation with those 4 players saying, Freddie, go and attack them, he'll say. Go and attack your front 4, go and win us the game.
Well, we know that there's been 3 changes to the team that faced Norwich at the weekend. One of those changes, as we've already mentioned, is Torreira in for Guendouzi. So let's have a look at what's been said about that in the world of social media. Want that Torreira-Xhaka double pivot. That's echoing your thoughts there, guys. I'd like to see Torreira in place of Willock and Ozil as the most advanced midfielder for this game. Would love to score an early goal that is not from a corner or a penalty. And a final one on this then. Pleased to see Xhaka, Lucas Torreira, back in the starting 11. Freddie Ljungberg identified the transition as the cause of Arsenal's defensive concerns, and Torreira is the midfielder best suited to help ease this issue, sitting in front of the back 4. So it seems that the Arsenal Nation fans are pleased to see the introduction of Torreira in the starting 11 tonight. Would you echo the thoughts there on those tweets?
Yeah, I mean, I think the transition's definitely been the problem when we've got the ball. Our problem when we haven't got the ball is our balance across the midfield and being in the right positions, the supporting defensive positions to help each other. It's all been, and Freddie nailed it actually in his post-match report that was on the website, saying that we're getting ourselves in little foot races, little 8-metre sprints, one-on-ones with people at the back. When you're a defender, what you should base your game on is cover and, you know, extra cover and being safe, not just me and Anne-Marie standing on the line and saying who's going to be quickest to the ball, because you'd obviously win it, you know.
Thank you.
But I think we've got to get out of that mentality and defend more with our minds. And I think then the transition period, when we get that ball in there, Torreira he's a great player to get that ball because he does turn fast with it and move it forward. I don't want to be too critical of Guendouzi because of his energy, but he tends to go backwards or sideways a lot of the time when we need to take that opportunity to quickly get the ball into that number 10 area. So it could be a real positive change for the side tonight.
I'm really excited to actually see Torreira start. I think it's good to see him on the team sheet, and I think that will give the lift that, you know, the Gunners have been desperately seeking over the last few weeks, and see him play in the position that he plays for his country as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because for a long time he was one of the first names on the team sheet, wasn't he? But we actually haven't seen him playing regular first-team football for some time, have we?
That's right, yeah, absolutely. So it's good to see him, and I think he'd appreciate that as well.
I think I don't know whether there's been a confidence issue, or maybe there could have been an issue with the other manager just not feeling that, you know, because it's all about opinions. Even when you get management level, they don't just pick the player that they see playing the best all the time. It's an opinion based on what they know he can do, his potential, and people see all of that differently. And maybe he was feeling frustrated that Unai not seeing him like that, and Freddie's giving him the opportunity now because Freddie's seen something in him, and he believes, and he's the manager, and he's taking it, you know, taking a grasp on things, and he's making his imprint on the side. So if he sees that with Freddie, and I hope Freddie brings that to the game. I hope Luca brings that to the game tonight. Then everything's fine, and it works out well. He's the right man for the right job.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there are a number of players that have missed out tonight. You mentioned Pepe, David and Martinelli as well. We've got a few tweets on this. I think Martinelli deserves the start. He produces something every match. Give him a real shot against a PL opponent. I'd also like to see Pepe, Tierney and Torreira out there. Well, he's got Torreira there, hasn't he? Small steps in the right direction with this lineup. So Dylan is pleased with tonight's formation. Do you think we've got enough in attack, David, with the likes of Ozil, Aubameyang and Lacazette, or would you like to see Pepe and Martinelli starting?
Well, I mean, you just named 5 great forwards that on their day can all win goals, but they've got to have the ball in positions where they can, you know, make those differences. And I just think the rest of the team are not, the ball's not getting to our forwards in those positions. That's why Oba's scoring all the goals, because we're relying on a one-touch sort of individual goal by one individual player a lot of the time. And I think
it also depends who can bring what, because I think with Aubameyang, you know that he likes service, which he gets from Lacazette. But you know Martinelli, he's quite creative and
he's direct,
and he's direct as well. So I guess it also depends on the type of game that you're playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Martinelli would have been, I'd have liked to see Martinelli come on earlier for the Norwich game because you knew that he's somebody who will go out and create. Whereas we saw with, you know, luckily Aubameyang got us a couple of goals, which is fantastic. But I don't know if Martinelli for tonight, I'm not sure if we need him in that way.
And I think as an impact player and as a young player, it's important to keep your confidence high. If you do start playing him from the start of a game and he doesn't get into it, and he, you know, because playing from the start of a game is totally different to coming on with 20 minutes to go with a free rein and the manager saying, go on, son, you've got to make a difference now. You've got 20 minutes. And I'm relying on you, the rest of the team, will go and do what you want. Run in them holes and just use all your energy up. When the start of a game, you're thinking about, you've got to get through 90 minutes, you've got to make certain runs, you know, and all of that. So I think it's kind of what Unai did a little bit at the beginning of his tenure when he had Oba and Laka. He had the choice of playing them both, but he would only play one and bring the other one on. And what happened? Every time the other one come on, they got the goals. Yeah. And it built confidence. And I think Freddie's focusing on building confidence in this side at the moment. So small changes, like that guy said, like that what Tweet said, is perfect. Change everyone, it could mess it up. And then just tweaking little players, keeping Martinelli's confidence high by bringing him on as an impact player, letting him get 3 or 4 chances, letting the crowd give him the cheers and that. So that when he is ready, he's at the height of confidence.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving on from our team selection now then, let's take a look at what you guys made of Freddie's first game in charge. Certainly wasn't lacking any passion. There was plenty of it, as you can see in this clip here. Loads of you were loving that on social media. That was his reaction to the equaliser at the weekend. Of course, Aubameyang scoring again. And we have this tweet here. Love their passion. Yeah, it's so good to see their faces lighting up. Another one here. Before anyone overreacts, please don't forget that Ljungberg had 2 days to prepare. Two. Let's give him time peacefully. Yeah, it's not a long time to sort the team out, is it? Promising enough, this considering Freddie only has led 1 training session so far. The defence is clearly the weak point, but the attack is promising. So a bit of level-headedness there from those last 2 tweets. Lots of people saying, you know, he's had a couple of days in charge before that Norwich game. How much of a difference can Freddie make in such a short space of time, David?
He didn't even have 2 days. I think he had a day and a half training session. That was after a game as well, so that's going to be a recovery for 15 players. And he didn't even have half the players that he was going to use against Norwich to actually train with. So it's early days. I think at the moment what we're looking at, personally, I think as a player, coming from a player's point of view, it's the players' responsibility to lift themselves now and play for this new manager.
100%
This is their responsibility, right? They've got to say, do you know what? I'm going to come off this pitch sore as anything tonight. It's going to be like last game of the season, cup final. I'm going to put everything into it because I need to lift this team. A player. The manager then, in the next few weeks, I feel, once he's got them players doing that and backing him right up, then he can start going in and putting it. But I think tonight it's down to the players. Absolutely down to the players to lift themselves.
Yep.
Anne-Marie, what did you make of Freddie's first game in charge?
I think he came across really well, actually. I think he came across really well in his pre-match press conferences and then the post-match press conferences. I think he spoke quite well. But you could see there was a sense of disappointment about, in terms of, I don't think he was expecting the game to be a draw. I don't think any of us expected the game to be a draw. But he handled the questions quite well, and he acknowledged that there are still problems at the back. That's what he wants to address. And he was quite open and honest about that. And he feels that as an attacking side, they're pretty much set. He likes the way they play, but it is sorting out that counter-attacking and the gaps in the defence. So, and I like the fact that he realises that he appreciates he's only had 2 days, but he knows there's a massive level of expectations from the Gunners fans out there, because it wasn't a, you know, in terms of it wasn't a shock that Unai Emery's gone, it's still a shock to the players, and he needs to get them up to speed and feel confident about going out to face Norwich, but at the same time, that weight of expectation that the fans would have wanted that first win. I think he handled that pretty well. Yeah. He's quite cool and calm about it.
He epitomises what Arsenal is. You know, he's very respectful. He's very dignified in how he speaks about past managers and staff, players at his club. He's very respectful, and I think that's the Arsenal in him, because that's what Arsenal are. They're a little family. They look after each other, and I think he just needs 3, 4, 5 weeks just to get a few things settled. But he really needs the players. Like I said, he needs the players to do their bit now. To support him as the coach, because it's really hard going from being a coach to a manager, because you've got all the players you was having a laugh with last week, trying to keep the banter going and keep the sort of confidence going. You've now got to tell them off if they ain't doing something right.
Yeah.
You have. And Freddie will be one of those. I don't think he'll stand for people not having good games. I think he'll say, this is what you did today, it's not good enough. You know, look at this. But there's got to be time for that. So he's got to win them over as being a manager first. But for his first game, you know, he didn't lose. It was a decent result, and he's got a chance tonight to build on that. If he builds on that tonight, the first game was a platform, and that's perfect. You know, because you're stepping up that level each time.
Yeah, as we mentioned, even with a new man at the helm, it still wasn't plain sailing at Norwich. But as you mentioned, David, that can be a platform for him to build on this evening. But there certainly seemed to be a sense of renewed optimism amongst the team at the weekend. You can see this tweet here from Aubameyang. Thanks to the fans that came today and always. Great to see him there. Dan sent this in. He said, thanks for the goals, captain. Let's get that first win under Freddie on Thursday. So Dan there thanked Ober and is looking forward to our first game at home under Freddie. And an unverified Lacazette account here has said, you're literally one of the best strikers in the world. Consistent, even with the lack of service. Never leave, captain. Loads of love for Aubameyang, as always. Anne-Marie, did you notice that kind of sense of response from our players in their first game under Freddie?
Yeah, absolutely, because you want, you know, there's a new coach on board or a new manager on board, you want to give that first new player bounce. You wanted to get that win, and I think despite the load of noise on social media, I think the players do realise the position that they're in, and they do realise they have a responsibility to the fans and to the wider football community, that they want to start winning, because they're all fairly competitive. You can see that with Aubameyang. He wants to score goals. You see that with Lacazette. He wants to score goals as well. So I think for them, I think, as Dave's mentioned a few times now, it's about that confidence level. And I think, you know, fingers crossed they'll get the win today, and that will help them even more, because the table now is getting even more competitive as more and more matches come in. We're into a really busy period with Christmas. This is the time when the team really need to step up.
Yeah, and I think some of these players, like Oba and Laka and Pepe and all of these, they earn a lot of money, right? But I think they want to justify earning that to the fans.
I agree with
you
that.
know, they want to go out there
Yeah.
and have the game of their life, score 3 goals. They want to bleed for the team, as you know, they want to give everything, and they want to justify that. And when it's difficult and the times are hard and you're not putting them performances in, these players take it. That's where the confidence goes, you know, because they have got hefty. Just because they go back to big houses in big cars, they worry about their job satisfaction.
Because they want to put on a
job
good
satisfaction.
And they want to put on a good performance as well as getting the 3 points. They want to put on a good performance.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think where Freddie's got an advantage now, as the manager, is he gets them together, and I suppose a bit like Pep did at Barcelona, they're kind of matey at the moment, so he's got a nice rapport with them. So he can go to the bigger players, the Obers, the Sokratis, the Ozils, and say, listen, you've really got to stand up at this time and be counted. I want you to help the youngsters. I want it to be noticeable to people that you're directing people and you're bringing it all together. I want to make this club back to what we was. And he's got a good opportunity of doing that because he's not so far away from those players, if you know what I mean, because he was one of the greatest footballers around. So he knows what it's like at that level. So he's got a little opportunity to get in there. I think if he takes that opportunity, the players will definitely perform for him.
Yeah, he's certainly a massively respected name here at Arsenal, isn't he? But moving the chat on then, it was, of course, our captain who rescued a point for us at Norwich, and he has really been a huge positive for us this season. Have a little look at this. Oba, of course, was joint Golden Boot winner last season, but you can see in this table there he is in 3rd. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? So perhaps we haven't been on the best run of form, but actually Aubameyang is always performing, isn't he? And once again, demonstrating how vital a player he is for us, David Amory.
Yeah, I think, well, I played with Ian Wright, so I know how many times we weren't going to win a game unless Ian Wright scored. And I think at the moment, there's a little bit of that sense that if anyone's going to help us out in the last 20 minutes, it's going to be over. And he's been coming up with the goods. And, you know, I'm a little bit frustrated because I think someone who scores 30 goals a season, I want to see him terrorise defenders and I want to see defenders scared of him. I don't see that side. I just see a goal-scoring machine. And, you know, every time he gets an opportunity, he's going to get a goal. But in saying that, I think the team need a forward that brings everything to the game because it's that man at the front is the link. So I think Freddie will be working on his transition stuff while he's working with Torreira and he's working with Willock and Ozil in the central area. Oba has to be the next line of attack, or Laka down that middle, work with him holding the ball up. Once he gets that in his game, I think he could be a 40 goals a season man. You know, at the right club, hopefully it's this one, but certainly if you put him in a club where he was getting service from all angles all the time, high up the pitch, he would be a 40 goals a season man. But he's brilliant for Arsenal, fantastic for us at the moment.
Yeah, he certainly is. Goes back to that tweet we saw earlier, doesn't it? We don't want him going anywhere. We want him staying here at Arsenal. But of course, that draw at Norwich does mean that we are now without a win in 8 games. Only a few losses, but lots of draws in our recent fixtures. Our last win, you can see there back in October, a Europa League fixture. And we've got a few tweets on this. First time in 25 years, we've gone winless in 6 straight PL matches. But despite that, it was the best I saw our attacking unit all season. Yes, the defence is bad and it will take time to fix, but I still saw progress, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So Alex seeing some progress there, and love this one. Me and the boys on the way to the Champions League. So an optimistic Reddit user crafted that wonderful masterpiece. David, there really isn't any disguising it, is there? We've struggled a bit of late, but do you think that there is still time to turn it around, and can we achieve top 4 still?
Look, I want to be honest. I'm not. I think as a player and as an optimist, I would say no. You know, I don't think. I think 5th, 6th would be a realistic position, But I think more importantly than that, I think it's about turning just the feeling around on the pitch and the way the players are playing. If we can do that in a month, if Freddie can do that by the end of the Christmas period, then you never know. If one of them teams slips up, if Chelsea have a bad run, you know, if Leicester get a couple of injuries and drop out of that chase and we get the bit between our teeth, it's always going to be possible. But I don't want the players to focus on that, because I think that's something, it's just another thing in the mix for them, more pressure on them. You know, I just think, get your game straight, get 3 wins on the bounce, and then we'll maybe talk about, you know, the highs of top 4. But, you know, we did it last year, we talked about it, and I think players just got a bit focused on it when really it's about getting this side playing good at the moment. Don't think about Champions League.
So it's all about the performances for you.
All about the performances for me, not results, definitely.
Anne-Marie, on that, do you think that fans need to kind of adjust their expectations for what we can achieve this season?
That's a great question. Do they need to adjust their expectations? Do they need to adjust their expectations? I don't want to tell fans how to be. It's not my place to say you need to, you may need to accept the fact that we might not make top 4. I think what Dave's saying is right. There's a little bit of hope. There's always hope about it. I think fans do want top 4, because I just don't think they want to be playing in the Europa League. They want to see Aubameyang and Lacazette in the Champions League, because we do have probably the best strikers in the Premier League in terms of what they can deliver. So I just don't feel it's right to tell fans how to be. If they want to believe that we can make top 4, then let them believe that.
I think that's fine, but then what you can't do is, because it's someone's hopes, dreams, beliefs, someone else's.
Yeah.
And if they are not looking at it as realistically as you probably think they are, with rose-tinted goggles and, you know, hope, which they will be, then when it doesn't happen, we need to have the correct reaction from them people as well. Because if those people start getting on players, clubs, at the club, blah, 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 then that's just another pressure for the players. So it would be nice for fans themselves to say, listen, we don't care if we don't get top 4 this year. Just start playing like the old Arsenal, with the heart, the spirit, the things that we think you've lost as a group of players and that Freddie's going to get back. Play with that, and we'll be happy. That would be my, as a fan, kind of player fan, that would be my take on it. But I totally get it. You can't tell people. You know, people pay 60, 80, £100 to go and watch football matches. How can you tell them not to believe and dream in their team? You know, you can't. So as far as expectations go, this is Arsenal Football Club. They will always be, even if we finished 15th this season, I guarantee at the start of next season, everybody out there will be saying, I reckon we could get top 4 this year. I reckon we could, because we're Arsenal.
We're all about the optimism here, aren't we?
But we're Arsenal.
Yes.
And Arsenal is, that's what Arsenal are about.
Yep.
So you're not going to change that. No. You're not going to change that.
Yep.
No, and we wouldn't want to. That's the way we like it, David. Now, we've given a lot of love for Aubameyang, our attacking force, but a position that's often overlooked is that of our number 1, Bernd Leno. He's been fantastic for us so far this season. This is a little throwback, of course, to his performance in the game at the weekend. This was the standout stop for him from the German international in our last game. A fine reaction save to deny Kenny McLean. It was a man of the match performance from him, and loads of you have been sending in your thoughts on that. Leno could save my love life. He probably could. He really is that great. Another one on this then. So not a table we'd like to be top of necessarily, but he's the busiest keeper in the Premier League, it seems. There he is, number 1, a busy man. And quite simply, who's the best goalkeeper in the Premier League right now? There he is, all hands pointing to the man himself. Is that a fair tweet? Is he the best Premier League goalkeeper right now?
Oh, goodness me. I think he's got Arsenal out of a couple of scrapes, as we saw at the weekend with Norwich. And what I liked about that, particularly that last clip we were just looking at, he was literally just taking a few steps backward very casually, and then all of a sudden his eyes were just very focused on the ball and he was watching all the time. Do you know what? He's really come into his own, I think, in the last year or so at Arsenal. And I think I've got no qualms about him whatsoever.
No, it's difficult for him. Do you know what? It's really difficult to be a good goalkeeper.
Particularly coming in after Petr Cech as well, because of the stature and the legend that Petr Cech is.
Yeah, and he's come in over Martinez, Martinez, and he's coming over the top of him.
Yeah.
So when you come to a club and the man that was second is now third, and you've stepped into that place, when you then get the number 1 place, you've got to make sure you play really good, because that bloke's been waiting for the job for 6 years. So he's had that pressure. But yeah, he does play in front of a gappy defence sometimes, so he's quite busy, and it's not the best table, as you said, to be top of. However, he has proved that he's a great shot stopper. What it doesn't show, that table, is how he commands the defence, and as a leader, because you're at the back there, you should be leading them. Dave Seaman, Petr Cech were great at that. I think Szczesny, even towards the end of his tenure here, he started to get it in his game. Leno needs to be in a solid working defensive unit to be able to advance that side of the game. When you come and claim the ball, when you set the team off on their moves, he ain't been able to do that part of his game yet, because the team ain't performing the right way for him to do that. But they're certainly showcasing his skills in them posts.
Well, exactly. They're keeping him sharp.
They had 4 shots at the end of that Norwich game.
He's a busy man.
Yeah, and he was on point for everyone. So he definitely is the top keeper at the moment, on form.
Actually, what I love from those clips as well is, he makes these incredible saves, and you can really see how much it means to him, can't you, when, he's celebrating afterwards. But yeah, he certainly was fantastic. But now it's time for us to move on to In Case You Missed It. Starting off with a rather bizarre one. This German side parted company with their manager, despite being top of the league and winning 13 straight times in a row. I mean, that's phenomenal, isn't it? But with 2 losses in 4, the club were concerned about their promotion prospects. So they bid him farewell. Certainly a hell of a winning mentality there. But is this pursuit for perfection a little bit too much?
We've seen it in the Premier League, haven't we, when unfortunately clubs have made a decision and let managers go, and we've all raised our eyebrows going, but they're doing okay. Why they'd let them go? We have seen that. I don't know
if they've won 13 in a row.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing.
German, isn't it? It's German. I think it's just not efficient, is it? 2 losses out of 4.
Such a stereotype.
There is just no efficiency. There is no efficiency there. Come on, statistics don't lie.
Oh, Dave.
They wasn't playing as well as they were for the 13 previous games, and it's time to go.
Oh, he's always...
Here, manager. Yeah, that's the way. That's the way, isn't it? Come on, that's Germany for you. If you're not doing it,
you're a goner.
You're a goner.
Moving on then, the winner of the 2019 Ballon d'Or was announced the other night, of course, Lionel Messi, picking it up for the 6th time. Absolutely incredible. Megan Rapinoe winning for the women. We also, of course, need to mention Oba. He finished 20th in the men's competition, and Vivian Miedemar, who we will come on to in just a moment, finished 5th. So huge well done to them. But that's not what we want to talk to you about. We want to talk to you about this award. This fan was given the award for the best fan of 2019, and it was after he travelled all the way to laugh at his friend after a result didn't go his way. So supporting a friend after Toffees lost 3-2, 110-mile drive just to do this. Have a look at this.
3-2.
Brilliant. Absolutely incredible dedication there. He certainly deserved Fan of the Year. David Amory, what's the most memorable way you've celebrated a win?
Can I say, I wonder if he's laughing right now, because obviously the news is broken that Marco Silva's got the sack, so I wonder if he's going to try.
Drive all the way down there and tell him, laugh at him for that.
Wow, okay. Oh, dear. I remember celebrating, I'd gone to the cinema with my family to watch a film, and Arsenal won the FA Cup when they beat Hull, and of course I couldn't check my phone in the cinema, come outside, check my phone, see the result, and gave this little yes like this, and Mum's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "Oh, we won, we're champions!" I was jumping up and down and screaming.
I would have liked to have seen you in the cinema.
I was like, "Champion!"
That would have been so much better in the cinema, though, right in the middle of the film.
My mum's telling me to calm down. I'm like, "Yes!"
Oh, yeah, we'd like to have seen that. David, what about you?
I don't know, really. I think we always had one way of celebrating wins when it was Arsenal. It was called the Tuesday Club. So we regularly celebrated in London our wins. But nothing really major. I did get banned from driving on the way back from a game after a win. I don't know if you've...
Oh dear.
It's certainly one I'll remember, but it's not a celebration.
Okay.
Yeah,
Always
for speeding.
in trouble, you.
I know, yeah, I've just couldn't wait to get home and see the highlights, could I? We played so well. I was racing home to see the highlights.
Bam.
Blue
there you
flashing
go.
lights
Blackwall
going
Tunnel,
on, yeah.
55 miles an hour.
What are we going to do with you,
dear.
David?
Bad boy.
Right, let's move on to our final in case you missed it then. It feels like we're talking about Vivianne Miedema a lot, but we are going to talk about her again. She deserves the recognition. She really is amazing. The women's team recorded an unbelievable 11-1 win over Bristol City at the weekend. And listen to this. Vivianne Miedema made 10 goal contributions in just 64 minutes with 6 goals and a whopping 4 assists. Just incredible. Well, Vivianne did it in 64 minutes, David. How long did it take you to reach 6 goals and 4 assists?
I think it was about 2 careers. It would have been. If I'd have got to the dizzy heights of 6, it would have took me 2 careers. But I think if you count goals in a 5-a-side on a Friday, stuff like that, probably about 8 or 9 years it took me. Yeah.
She's just
she's
flying,
incredible.
isn't
She's
she?
a great thing. You know what? And I said it before we came on air. She's one of them players that I think if you put her in this side, even tonight, and you played her down the middle, and I think she would do a fantastic job. And because she knows how to, she's got a good all-round game. She's great in the air. She's really good with her feet,
player.
but she brings everybody into the game as well. She's unselfish. I just felt sorry for the City goalkeeper there, the Bristol City goalkeeper. It was a bad day, wasn't it?
Hey, it's good to keep him busy, you know, it's nothing wrong with that. So big props to Vivianne there. Right, let's move on then to preview our opposition for tonight, which is, of course, Brighton. They've had a bit of a slow start to the season, of course, but they have recorded 3 wins in their last 7 games. So there they are. You can see the 3 wins there. And, of course, they did put up a fight at Anfield as well. You can see this tweet here from Brighton. Pretty similar statistics, minus the league position. And then there's a look at the bottom half of the table. There they are, sitting in 16th. They are struggling to climb the table, David, but, of course, as we discussed previously in the show, we're not on the best run of form ourselves. What do we need to be concerned about to face them tonight?
I think any problems we get tonight will be of our own making again. I think if we leave holes in the defence, all Premier League sides have got quick forwards, young, quick, hungry wingers who, given the opportunity to have a one-on-one with someone, will take it on, especially at the Emirates. So I think it's almost like the glory seekers you've got to worry about today, the ones who are going to say, right, I'm going to take this chance and, you know, try and get at this weak back four, what they see as. I think that's what we've got to worry about. I think on the whole, though, they're poor on the road, Brighton. Find it very difficult away from home. None of them wins have come away. And I think it's a game that Arsenal will lose tonight, not Brighton will win, in my opinion. Good side, showed a few good signs early on at the start of the season for me, but just not really got going. And for me, gave up a great manager last season, and I think they're suffering now because of that.
I think I heard something on the radio today that when Graham Potter joined Brighton, they were 16th in the table. So he's been with them for either a year or 2 years now, and now they're back being at 16th in the table. So what changes has he made for them to improve as a team? And
I think when Chris Hughton left, I think they was higher in the table as well.
Yeah.
They wasn't right down at the bottom, although that's where they finished. Chris left them in a decent position after a promotion. So it's difficult because they haven't spent a lot of their money, I don't think, coming up, because all these clubs are always worried about going back down. And if you go down with 3 players that you've just bought for massive money and then you're carrying 3 extra £1 million a year wage bills, it's a lot for them to then get back out of that division.
Right, so, David, I'm going to have to jump in here because kickoff is fast approaching. Cool. You need to get to your commentary position, so we're going to let you jump out, run up. You have to get your skates on. And whilst you do that, we are going to take a look at our best goals scored against Brighton.
Wonderful opportunity on the follow-up, and it's off the line. Another shot blocked. Another shot fired in. Arsenal have the lead. Sinski through a gap. Oh, Chambers. In towards Walcott, who scores. Arsenal have taken the lead.
Well, some fantastic goals there. Anne-Marie, back to you then. We are a new look side under Freddie. Why should we be optimistic to face Brighton tonight?
I think it's exactly what Dave said. I think in terms of about the hope that Freddie would have worked on and looked at issues that would have cropped up in the Norwich game. I mean, he was happy with the attack, he wasn't happy with the midfield and the defence. So hopefully in the last couple of days he's been able to tweak that on board. And these are experienced players. I disagree with Dave when he says that, you know, they need time to develop to Freddie's way. I think you either get it or you don't. And I think they will take it on board. And I'm feeling pretty confident today. I think we'll get the win.
OK, so you're going for a win, but
Yeah.
what do you think would make the fans happy this evening?
A win.
A win. Well, we'd all like that, wouldn't we?
I think they want to win, and I think they'd like to see some really fantastic goals this evening, for sure, just to give everybody that lift.
A good performance and some strong goals. OK, well, as always, continue to get your comments into us. We will be back at half-time and full-time as well when David rejoins us from commentary. Kickoff is just around the corner. Another fantastic night awaits us under lights at the Emirates. And if you are watching on Facebook, YouTube or Twitter, now is the time to head over to arsenal.com or the Arsenal app for your live commentary of tonight's game. So let's get you to our commentary duo. It is Dan Roebuck and David Hillier.
Many thanks to Kenzie, many thanks to Anne-Marie as well. David has raced up, just about got here.
Raced.
The last time that Arsenal went 9 games without a win in all competitions, Freddie Ljungberg wasn't even born, so let's hope that the current interim Arsenal boss, who is standing in the dugout as the man in charge at the Emirates for the first time, does not equal that run back from 1977. Looking on the more positive side of things, the Gunners have never been beaten by the Seagulls at home, winning 6 and drawing 2 of 8 games in all competitions, and boy, do we need a win tonight. We are underway. First few seconds sees the ball go out of play. David, as we both know, we can bend stats either way we want. The bottom line is, we've got to win tonight, haven't we?
Absolutely.
This is so important for us.
Yeah, and I think we was talking on the show about, you know, what changes do you think Freddie will make to the team? And